Let's go ahead and begin the process of creating the joints for our drone. So we have the drone model open up here, and you can find this same scene within your project files. And the first thing that we're going to do is create the joints for these front pieces for the drone. So these sort of lens type objects, and then we also have this sort of sensor at the front of the drone, as well as these plate pieces down here at the bottom. So these are the areas on the model that we're going to focus on first. So let's go ahead and go up here to our menu set. And we first want to change this from the modeling menu set to the rigging menu set. And you can see some of these menus have changed up here at the top. And then we also want to make sure that we are inside the rigging shelf. So we can go ahead and select that. And this is going to give us a lot of the tools that we'll need when we go through the rigging process. So let's go ahead and go up here to skeleton, create joints, and we'll open up the option box. And let's go ahead and reset our settings just to make sure that we're both working at the same settings here. And then we'll go ahead and close that out. And let's zoom in here, and we're going to create the joint for this main lens cluster here. And to make the placement process a little bit easier, let's actually select this icon right here, which is wireframe unshaded. So when we do that, you can see the wireframe for our model, which will allow us to place our joints a little bit easier. So what we're going to do now is hold V down, and that's going to enable the Snap to Vertex tool. And then we'll go ahead and select this vertex right up here at the front. And that's going to snap a joint right to that vertex. Now you'll notice that the joint is pretty small. Now there's a couple ways we can go about adjusting this joint size. First, we can go up here to Display, Animation, and we can go to Joint Size, and we can adjust this value here. Now this value is basically going to adjust how the joints are being displayed within our viewport. So any joint that we have created in the actual scene, this joint size or this joint display size is going to change all of the joints within our scene. So we can go ahead and adjust this value, and you can see as we increase this value, the size of that joint is going to increase as well. Now this is basically just altering the way the joint is being displayed in the viewport. If we go over here to our channel box, you can see we have our radius value, and this can be adjusted as well. So we can type in maybe a value of 2, and you can see that's really going to increase the joint size there. But for now, let's go ahead and bring that back to a value of 0.5. And let's actually go ahead and take this joint display size maybe down to around a value of 1.5 or so. And we can go ahead and close that out. And then now what we're actually going to do is go ahead and delete the joint that we just created. So with it selected, let's go ahead and press the delete key. And then we're going to go up here to skeleton again. We'll go to create joints. We'll open up the option box. And we're actually going to change this short bone radius. So this will allow us to change the radius of all the joints that we create. So we'll change this from a value of 0.5 to a value of 2. Then we can close this out. Hold V down. We'll snap the joint back to that vertex. And there we go. So you can see that now we have this joint created. By default, it's going to be set to a radius of 2. So this seems like a proper joint size here. It's very easy to see within our scene. Now with this joint created, let's go ahead and actually press W on our keyboard to go to the transform manipulator. You can also select that icon right here on the left side. Now you'll notice that the actual placement or orientation of the joint itself is a little bit different than the actual geometry for the lens. You can see this lens is sort of placed at an angle here. And we basically want to match this joint to the angle of the geometry. So to do that, let's go ahead and make sure our joint is selected. We'll go over here to our attribute editor, and we want to scroll down and find the joint orient. So here we can actually adjust the direction of our axis. So we have the X, Y, and Z axis. And on this first box, let's go ahead and hover our mouse over the numbers here. And then let's hold Control or Command and then middle mouse click in the box. And that's going to allow us to scrub this value. And we just want to roughly align the orientation of the joint to the placement of the geometry. So maybe around a value of 5.6 or so should work. And now let's go ahead and place the joint for this bottom piece, sort of this gun object. So we'll go ahead and select the create joints on our shelf here. Hold V down, and we'll drop a joint right to that vertex. And then here we'll adjust the orient as well. So holding Control or Command, we'll just scrub this value here until we get it roughly aligned with the geometry. Now let's go ahead and create the joints for the drone's left side. So again, we'll go to the create joints on the shelf. We'll select it, hold V down, snap a joint right to that vertex. And then now instead of just adjusting this joint orient value, we can simply just copy the value that we have on the right side. So we'll go to joint orient, we'll press Control or Command C, and then we'll paste it here by pressing Control or Command V. And there we go. So you can see now the orientation of that joint has been adjusted. And then we can go ahead and place a joint on this piece. So we'll go to the create joint, hold V down, snap it right to that vertex, and then we'll copy this joint orient value and paste it. And there we go. So now that we've created that, let's go ahead and create the joint for this sensor piece. So we actually want to snap the joint right to this vertex right here. So we'll go to create joints, hold V down, we'll snap it right to that vertex. And then now we need to adjust the joint orient. And to make this a little bit easier, let's actually go ahead and shift select a few of these pieces here for the sensor. And then we'll press Control or Command 1 to basically hide everything that is not selected. And now let's actually go ahead and select the joint here. And we can jump to our side view. So we'll go to Panels, Orthographic, Side. And then we'll zoom in here and adjust the joint orient. So holding Control or Command, we'll middle mouse click in that box. And we'll adjust that right around a value of there should work. Again, sort of matching the placement of the geometry here. And let's jump back to perspective. We can press Control or Command 1 to go ahead and show everything. All right, so we have the joint created for that sensor piece up there at the front. So what we want to do now is create the joints for this plate piece at the bottom of the drone. So let's actually go ahead and just continue on and create the joints for the bottom there in the next clip.